starting right now. Are you on?
Good afternoon, those who are watching. As usual, Pakhtun Professional Canada. Since we started, this is a volunteer charitable organization, and thought about some of the professional and business entrepreneur and trade people. When Kuwait started, they thought, why not to bring these professional trade and business entrepreneur together so that they can give something back to the community, because people are losing jobs and businesses are closing, like particularly small businesses who cannot afford the rent and some other stuff to keep them running. And also because Kuwait affected the community drastically, enormously. And today is February 21st, though it is International Mother Language Day. It's a significance day. We congratulate them, happy them, the mother language. And mother language is important. But on this day, we brought a very special guest, because we thought that Canada is a place for the entire world. Diversity, like more than 160 languages spoken people. A lot of these professionals coming from across the world to Canada, and they are facing tremendous barrier when it comes to job market or labor market. So in today's session, we invited a very special guest. His name is Kevin Gill. He's the president and CEO of StaffMix, a very international, I will say, a name and a leading institution helping people to on board with the employer and helping Canada prosperity and economic wise. But in this session before we begin, I have my host, Professor Dr. Imtiaz Shah from Western University. He has a consultancy as well. Warm welcome, Kevin Gill, and warm welcome, Professor Dr. Imtiaz Shah Sahab, to the session. Imtiaz Sahab, welcome, Kevin, so that we go through the formal process.
Thank you, Dr. Faisal. Hello, Dr. Shah. It's a pleasure to speak with you and all the viewers we have today. Even Kevin Gill, if you know, Gill is a very popular last name over in India and Pakistan. So it's kind of funny that I share the last name with a lot of your viewers right now. So we're a staffing and recruiting company based here in Canada. We put thousands of people to work every day. A number of the people that we put to work are new Canadians. It's a community that we work with quite a bit. And we're really proud with the number of new Canadians that we put to work. It takes a lot of effort and work by my team to help them out, but we take a lot of pride in helping them get to work. Some of the best workers we've ever recruited are new Canadians that come to Canada because they have the right attitude, the right drive, and they want to work. So it's my pleasure to speak with you and your community. If anyone afterwards wants to follow up with me, we have offices across the country. You can visit our website at staffmax.ca. We're located in Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg, where our head office is, Mississauga, Toronto, and Ottawa. So some information on our locations and how to reach us for your viewers.
Thank you, Kevin. We are going to ask related question to StaffMax and what you do and where you operate. But again, I want to offer words of thanks to Dr. Manan for inviting me also as a host. One correction is that I'm not in consulting. I have experience in consulting. So I work in consulting. I'm working now in the public sector, and I'm also teaching at Western. Kevin, welcome aboard. Thank you so much. Yes, you do share Gill, and one of my friend actually living here in London. His last name is Gill, and he's a mechanical engineer. So
yeah, no. From my understanding, and my understanding is very popular. It's almost like Smith back in, is it India or
It
Pakistan?
is.
Both
It's
countries?
both.
It's both.
South Asia, yes.
Yeah, I've always wondered the background, why that is. We have so many candidates,
Hmm.
and we come across Gills all the time. So it's always fun to me to meet with
Yeah.
someone else with the last name Gill, but we come from different ends of the world. So it just shows how funny life is.
It's like my last name. So my last name is Shah, but
Yeah,
there's a Shah, Shaw.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
an
There
English
is.
Shah. And a lot of people ask me without pronunciation, say, my last name is Shah. And I say, oh, Shaw. I'm like, no, it's Shah.
You know, that reminds me of a point. I know we're just having a conversation here, and I look forward to answering some of your questions. But it just comes
Okay.
to my
Yes.
mind right now. When someone in Canada is applying for a job, one really good suggestion is on their resume, if they do go by a Canadian name, if they shorten their name or they go by a nickname here, I really encourage them to include that name on their resume. So often, if someone comes to Canada and they have maybe a harder to pronounce or a longer name, I encourage them to put maybe the short version or sort of the Canadian version on their resume. Just
I
a little
see a lot of I see a lot of my Chinese students do that,
same thing. Yes. Yeah. I
which
think
is very helpful.
it's just easier to pronounce. And when I'm
Yep.
discussing a candidate with someone, I can say that name. We know that name. So, I mean, you want to include your full name, but I definitely maybe in brackets or before or after to include the shortened version of their name that they might go by.
Okay, Kevin, thank you so much. So let the
Uh,
viewer know that this session is specifically the Canadian employment trends, particularly when during this COVID time. Kevin, like you said that you are recruiting services, but can you explain to the viewer that since COVID started, how does Staff Mix or your organization help community so that they can stand can you explain it how your organization helped them out?
The way we work is we're in between the client and the employer. So our customer is the businesses. We work with hundreds and maybe even thousands of businesses across the country. And when these businesses are looking for employees, they will come to us to help them find workers. The reason they come to us is because we've got a whole database, a whole availability of workers so that they can get people hired on fast. So if the client is looking for an employee, they will come to an employment agency like myself, or they'll come to StaffMax, and they will request employees. We do all kinds of jobs from entry level warehouse, hospitality, engineering, IT, accounting, and finance is a very popular role right now. So what it works is the candidates, the employees will come to us, they will register with us, we will get all their information, their availability, how much pay they're looking for. We have them available in our database. And then our clients come to us and they will say, Kevin, we're looking for workers in this area that have this skill set. Can you please send me over resumes? Or sometimes just send me the worker directly. So we're in between the employer and the candidate, and we help facilitate getting them employment. Now, we do both short-term temporary. Sometimes we have roles that are 1 week in length. It's just a vacation relief or a business is very busy for a particular reason, a special project's going on. So we can have someone start at a short-term role, but we also do permanent recruiting where the candidate is hired on permanent full-time by the client from day one. So we provide temporary workers. And when I say temporary, that's just the length of the assignment. It could be for a day, a week, a month. But we also do permanent recruiting where they're hired on full time by the employer from day one. And we just shortlist the workers, send them to the employer. They do the final interviews and hire someone on. So that's how we work. Is the employees
And
register?
Kevin, can you tell the viewer that where is your office located? I know you. Thank you so much. You came from Winnipeg live with us, but where is you located? Is it in Winnipeg or is it across the Canada?
It's across the country. We have offices we recruit all over the country. We recruit in locations where we don't have an office, but we do have physical locations in Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg, where our head office is, where I'm sitting at today, Mississauga, downtown Toronto, and in Ottawa.
That's
And
great
then
to hear.
you can find us on our website, staffmax.ca. And for any of the viewers who may not be located in the cities I mentioned, we recruit all over the country. So with COVID, with a digital, virtual interviewing, you don't have to be located or come to our office anymore. We can find you work regardless of where you are.
So a similar related question, Kevin, what was asked by Dr. Manan earlier. Do you keep track of data or any statistics if recruitment has decreased or declined since we were hit by COVID in early 2020?
We do. We not only do we compile internal data on our business and our placements. I sit on the Canadian Staffing Association, where our association as a whole compiles statistics that come from Stats Canada. So I'm actually familiar with the statistics, the country as a whole, as well as my business. I can say that the vast majority of roles that were lost in COVID from about March, approximately 11 months ago till today, um, unfortunately affected some groups that a lot of females, a lot of younger people, a lot of people in the hospitality and customer service areas were really the first ones to get let go. As we all know, you can't go to a restaurant, you can't go to a movie theater. So some of those young people entering the workforce were some of the hardest hit. And some of the roles, just because of the nature of the shutdown, a lot of females lost their jobs. So it's really unfortunate based on the statistics, and I'm sure we all can speak to our just anecdotally to ourselves. A lot of people that lost their jobs were younger people and females. A lot of the roles were hospitality and the customer service areas and retail were the hardest hit areas.
So do you think, on a related note, previous question, will it pick up if the restrictions are removed, or if the vaccination is done to the community at a large scale?
Two things to answer that one. Yes, it will pick up. I'm very confident about that. Restaurants will open up. Movie theaters will come back. How fast? When? Yeah, I guess the vaccine and just the public health people will make those types of decisions on when it's safe to get out. However, some of the office admin roles where this whole new work from home environment, I think there is a chance that might stay to a certain extent.
We have a specific question related to that, and I want you to please hold on to that.
I will.
Because we will ask you a question related to that. But related to one of my question is that, do you think if a new person is looking for a job, and apologize, Dr. Manan said, this is a question stemming out from the question, and I think it's an open type. So do you think there is an opportunity for newcomers to step into some of this position that's being affected by the COVID?
Okay, so before you answer this question, I want to bring this another young girl. She wanted to come live and asking a similar question. So can I bring her in, and so she can ask you her own question? Norma Khan, you are welcome to this live show, and Kevin is here with Professor Imtiaz Shah is also here with us too. So they both are hearing you. You are young graduate as an engineer, master degree. What problem do you have? You are 2 years in Canada, and you are still struggling to find a job, maybe in your field, but you are not there. Can you explain it? What's the problem?
So first of all, thank you for having me here. So yeah, the main problem that people like me, like I am a permanent resident of Canada, so I don't need sponsorships. I have done all my due diligence when it comes to getting your registrations done, getting your EIT, and passing all the exams. So people like me are struggling because first of all, I'm entry level. And a lot of the universities in Canada, they help out their new graduates with the networking opportunities and a lot of co-op opportunities. So for someone like me who's new to Canada and a fresh graduate, it is proving to be very difficult to find employment, mainly because we don't have that network. And because of COVID, the networking has sort of halted as well. And bridging programs and a lot of these things are available, but again, it's again, you have to be you have to know someone either very well, or you have to like just start somewhere small. But even those opportunities are getting
Norma, you
hard to
tell
come by.
what you have studied. Can you tell us where you graduated, what you study?
So I have a master's degree in structural engineering from the United States, University of Houston. And I graduated back in 2015. Afterwards, I taught 2 years at a university in Pakistan. And as soon as I got my immigration in 2019, I moved here. I did work as a structural EIT or an engineer in training in Alberta for 6 months. But again, COVID happened and a lot of people lost their jobs. And unfortunately, I was one of them. So, yeah.
Okay, Kevin. So so Kevin will answer, and it was a question relevant to what Professor Imtiaz Shah was asking from Kevin. So if you want to stay, you can stay. If you want to leave, you can leave and watch it. So Kevin will answer your question.
Thank you for this opportunity to answer that question. Hello, Norma. It's a pleasure to meet you. I've heard your story many times, and what I can tell you is the people that maintain the right attitude, the positive attitude, and don't give up are the ones that are successful. A couple of things I will share. You need to treat your job search like it is a job. So you need to have a plan for the week, some goals. I'm going to apply at 10 or 15 places per week, no matter what. If I get 15 rejections, I don't care. I'm going to continue to apply. You want to make sure that people know you're looking for work. So you want to post it on social media. Make sure you're following all the engineering groups there are on social media. LinkedIn is an important tool. Any professional trying to enter the workforce, you want to make sure that you have an updated professional LinkedIn profile and that you're put your settings on that you're looking for work. So recruiters like myself, we often go to LinkedIn to find candidates like yourself. You want to make sure that you're keeping in touch with your past employer. You want to reach out to recruiters like myself, and you want to try to possibly find specialized recruiters like myself who might specialize in the engineering field. You want to make sure that you're joining all the associations. A lot of the associations will have cheaper memberships for students to join. So you can become part of the Engineering Association of Ontario or of Canada and become a full-fledged member for a lower fee. You want to sign up to all the job boards. So when you go to Indeed or ZipRecruiter or some of the specialized engineering job boards, that you get your updated resume there and you sign up for job alerts. So if a new role comes up for a position that you feel you're qualified for, you'll get notified of it rather than having to always check back every day. So first and foremost, stay positive. It'll happen. Just stay positive, okay? Treat your job search like it's a job. Make sure that your LinkedIn resume is updated and professional. Visit all the job boards and sign up for alerts for the kind of job you're looking for. Network as much as you can on social media with some of the engineering Facebook groups, some of the engineering LinkedIn groups. Make sure if you have a network of contacts that might be in that field to let them know. And if you wanted to take an entry-level role at one of those organizations for maybe a little step down that you're qualified for, but you get your foot in the door, gain some experience, and get to know people, and then you can reach out to recruiters, especially specialized recruiters who work in the engineering field. That's about the best advice to give you, and just stay positive. It's very easy for me to say that, to stay positive, but it's really attitude, and people look for attitude almost as much as they look for skills.
Okay, so I just Imtiaz Sab, yes.
Go ahead, Manan Sab.
Okay, so I just link one thing more about the staff mix that you say that you are a recruiting agency. Can you explain the viewer that what is the minimum salary range and the maximum salary range? And another that you are looking for people so that you can put them in place. And what kind of profession? Do you looking for IT, engineer, doctor, like a social worker, like those kind of thing too?
Yeah, thank you. I can speak to our agency. We're a full service agency. We do all kinds of roles from entry level, warehouse, customer service, call center, all the way to high end CFO, C-level jobs. So our role, we don't have a minimum or maximum salary range because we're filling lots of roles. But there are specialized recruiters who will work just in the engineering field or just in the IT field. And then you have to remember that our clients are the ones that normally dictate the pay rate. So they come to us with a role. Kevin, can you help me find this worker? We need this experience with this background or education, and here's the salary range. So We generally don't dictate the pay rate. It's our client that does. And the types of roles we fill are really across the spectrum from entry level, customer service, warehouse, logistics, IT, accounting and finance, healthcare, C-level management suites. We really cover the whole spectrum of roles.
Kevin, on a related note, you mentioned engineering. So you recruit all kind of for types of engineers, IT, structural, water
Yeah,
resources, environmental, or it's a specific engineering field that you recruiting for?
we do. Engineering is a funny one. There's engineers in every world. There's the term project engineer that can have 100 different jobs. There's IT project engineers. There's civil project engineers. There's mechanical project engineers. So engineering is a wide, broad spectrum of job titles and job specific roles. So we do all types of engineering. It's really whatever order comes across our desk for our client, and we can't be experts in everything, but we know a little bit about all the different engineering fields, so we can at least shortlist and get those candidates to our employer. So all engineering roles we will work on. And the term engineer is just such a wide range. You guys, Norma can probably attest to, and you guys would know that there's a lot of engineers in a lot of different roles. So we fill most engineering roles that our clients request.
Okay, Kevin, let us ask question that community has sent a couple of questions to us to ask Kevin, and some are live, some have sent it on my cell phone. And Imtiaz Saab, so can you ask what?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can do that. So Kevin, one of the questions sent by the community is that as a recruiter, what is your opinion on the issue of fresh graduate or new Canadian professional getting Canadian experience, as most of the employer may not hire them without Canadian work experience? What is your advice as a recruiter to a fresh graduate or a new Canadian?
That's a tough question, and you're right. A lot of new Canadians come on board and they do have a hard time finding work. Often they will find work with their family or community, and they are sometimes not the best roles. Some people take advantage of new Canadians when it comes to the type of work or the pay rate. My best advice to them is to make sure they hone up on their technology skills, so they know how to use a computer, they know how to do an online interview, and they do the best they can to learn the language. I don't mean to be fully bilingual or to be fully speaking English, but just to take a course so they can at least speak the basic English. It's very important. I'm just being straightforward. To try to do as much as they can to work on their language skills, to make sure that they know to use technology. So if they have an interview or a meeting, they know how to do a Zoom interview, they know how to get online. When it comes to finding a work, they just have to continue to apply and try and find as many connections that they know in the community and stay positive about getting the job. So interview at as many places as they can, send out as many resumes as they can, and continue to follow up with those resumes. A great thing to do is sometimes I see new Canadians and they have great resumes. They're engineers. They have high advanced skills, and in Canada, sometimes they have to take an entry-level job and it sucks. It just sucks. It does. But they take an entry-level role, they get to know their boss, to know their co-workers. And those people see, Jesus, this guy does know his stuff. He's smart. He has the right attitude. He shows up. My best workers are new Canadians. I don't have an issue sharing that. The best workers that we put out that stay the longest, that get hired on, are the new Canadians with the right attitude. So they want to try to hone up on basic computer skills, because the first interview you do is going to be online now in the midst of COVID. 9 out of 10 times the first interview will be online. So they want to practice with friends and family to do a mock interview, to go online, make sure they've got the proper background, make sure that the video and the sound is set correctly. You want to practice doing this first interview. You want to try to make sure that you've got the English language skills. And again, I know that can be tough for a fresh Canadian, and I know your group helps with some of the language skills. So that is one thing that they want to try to hone up on as best they can. And they may sometimes want to just take an entry-level job, or maybe a job a step or two below what they're truly qualified for, just to get in the door so that the employer can see his work work ethic, can see his attitude, can learn his skills, and he can go from there.
So, on a related question, Kevin, what employers are looking for in a new worker?
You know what? Show up on time.
Mhm.
Don't cause problems in the workplace. Work hard. Have the right attitude. Get the job done. At the end of the day, a business owner, most business owners, they just want someone that's going to show up, do the work, not cause problems. It's kind of simple and it's common sense. But if you just go with the right attitude, show up every day, show up on time, do your job, and once you've been there to show off your skills, you can request to move up or request another opportunity.
Okay, so these are some of the basic skills that they have to adhere to when they are new. Okay.
I mean,
Another.
everyone knows that, but sometimes it can be frustrating, and I know it is when you've applied for 100 jobs and nobody called me back, and it's like, oh my God, they don't want to hire me because I'm a new Canadian. That's not necessarily the truth. It happens to every group of people. So I just wanted to tell them to treat their job search like a job. Get up in the morning at a certain time. Set a goal of I'm going to apply at 10 jobs today, and I'm going to follow up on 3 other ones that I applied to last week. So in 1 week, I'm going to apply to 50 jobs, and I'm going to follow up on 15 more that I applied to, and I'm going to make sure I do some posts on LinkedIn or Facebook saying I'm still available and how excited I am for the role.
And they're saying that there is a proverb out there saying that looking for a full-time job is a full-time job.
It is, and it can get depressing. It can get frustrating. It can annoy you.
Yep.
But you just have to try to shake those off and move on to the next day and stay positive. Again, it's easy for me to say. I'm a recruiter. I got a job. I'm happy. So I know it's easy for me to say that. But I really want to stress to the viewers and those people looking for work that it will happen. If you just think it's going to happen, keep working at it, it will happen. If you have to take something a little bit lower than what you want, take it, show up, do a good job, and you'll see how you'll move up.
Have that step in the door and then go from there.
Well, you get to meet people in the business. They get to see you. You get to network. You can now put that on your resume, and then there's something about getting up every day and working. It just changes your mindset.
Another related question sent by community is that please share some tips with us on how to overcome a fear of interview. So some new fresh graduates or international graduates or new Canadians, they have this fear of interview.
Yes.
How to overcome that fear of interview?
You know what? I still have that fear sometimes. I was nervous coming on this here today. Okay, so first off, it's normal. I understand that. It's like anything else. The more you do it, the more relaxed you become. So I would set up a Zoom call or a FaceTime call with a friend or family member and conduct a mock interview. Have that person pretend they're the interviewer. Put on the proper attire. Put on the proper background. Prepare for the questions and have that person do a mock interview with you, and it will just get you more comfortable doing it. So overcoming the fear is done by doing it. So do that first one and suck at it. And then
so they say
and a little bit less, and you get better the more you do.
So practice makes perfect.
It does, and I'm not sharing any secrets here. Everyone knows this. But if you just do some mock interviews online, you see yourself on the screen, and it's kind of funny at first. But once you do it more and more, you get to be more comfortable. And if you have the person you're interviewing with, treat it seriously as well. So you don't want to be laughing back and forth. You say, interview me with these 10 questions. Treat this like an interview. And the more you do that, the more comfortable you'll get. And when you go to a real one, I think you'll be a bit more relaxed. And a good thing to ask is at the end of an interview, you can say to the interviewer, whether I get this job or not, can you help me? Just give me some feedback on my interview. What was it about my questions that you liked or didn't like? What was it about my questions I can improve on? Just personally, if you could help give me feedback on my interview skills, I'd appreciate that. And most interviewers will.
That's great.
Okay,
another
so
related question is that,
yes.
sorry, one more question. So one of the question is that please share tips for fresh graduate and new Canadians seeking employment. It's kind of a repetitive question, but I
It
don't
is,
know.
but I'll quickly answer is make sure that your LinkedIn profile, you have a LinkedIn profile and it's updated. Make sure that you, when you visit job boards looking for jobs, that you sign up for job alerts so that you'll get notified when a job is out there. Make sure that you let your network know you're looking for work. And if you're looking for a specific job, you want to join the association or the group, the professional group for that type of industry. So if you're engineering, join the engineering association as a student or a newcomer. If you're looking for just a hospitality job, just send out lots of resumes and follow up with them.
Thank you, Kevin. Kevin, Imtiaz, and Norma. Don't go away. I'm just taking a 30-second break so everybody has a little breath, and we will be coming because we have received a lot of questions, Kevin. So we will be asking you questions. So
Right.
don't go away. We will be back just in 30 seconds. Okay, so we are back here. Kevin, I just got received a question. One of my friends sent it to me that he said that the world in general and Canada in particular is moving into digital age, new
Yeah.
digital age, and there's new technology you see in COVID. COVID, everything is on almost on digital, online, and new technologies are introduced like the StreamYards and Zooms and all these things.
Yeah.
Do you think employers and recruiters like yours are prepared, and who will help these professionals so they are ready? Like how will they become ready with these new technologies? So can you say anything about them?
I can. That's a great question to your viewer. It is. You right now, if you don't, first off, don't be scared of technology. If you can use a bank machine and take money out of your bank, you can use technology nowadays. It's really simple and easy to learn. Some of the resources to learn technology can be found online on YouTube. And I know for some of our new Canadians, some of the employment groups and some of the new Canadian help groups that are out there, some of the associations will teach technology. So it is important that a person does have the basic technology skills. They can use Zoom, they can use Office Teams, they know how to get online, and they're not scared of technology. And for people that do have that fear of getting online, it's really not that difficult. Once they do it a few times, they'll get more comfortable. If you can use a bank machine to take out money, you can do a Zoom meeting. You can learn how to use the basics of a computer.
Okay, another question I also got it that Kevin, how important is attitude, and can you say
100%.
inclusively like soft skill for a job interview or for establishing network, because you're talking about all these professional association networks. So how important is an attitude and soft skill?
It's the most important skill. You can teach skills, you can't teach attitude. I can't pay you to care. I can't train you to care. I can't discipline you to care. You either care or you don't. Attitude is the most important skill that I look for. And unless it's a really super specialized technology job where you can have a poor attitude, but you're so skilled it doesn't matter, 9 out of 10 jobs, attitude is really the most important factor that a person has. So when I say attitude, what does that really mean? It just means that I come to work every day with a sense of ownership. It comes to work every day with a sense of pride that I treat this job, I treat this company like it is my own. So attitude is not what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens, because there's really bad things happen to everybody. Everybody is COVID, everyone is frustrated, everyone is in a difficult situation. And it's people with a positive attitude that stay strong that are going to have the opportunities to get hired and move on and get out of that situation. So I understand the situation with COVID is frustrating for everybody, but having the right attitude is probably the number one soft skill I would say.
Okay, Kevin. Another question. One of my colleagues from Cambridge has sent. He's asking, where are some of the hottest demanded job markets, and in what cities? Like, so
Yep.
they are asking two different things. Yeah.
A very good question. Right now, IT jobs are hot. IT jobs in Vancouver, IT jobs in Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph area are very strong right now. Some of the skilled trade roles are beginning to pick up in the GTA. Accounting and finance across the country is very hot right now. So if an individual is bookkeeper, accountant, even accounts payable or accounts receivable clerk, accounting and finance is hot across the country. IT technology jobs are one of the most in-demand roles. And there are some specialty manufacturing skilled trade jobs. I know that industrial mechanics, electricians, some people involved in home repair, home renovation is very popular right now because of COVID and everyone staying home. So the hottest jobs are IT, accounting, finance, and then I've left out healthcare. Healthcare is a bit of a different thing because it's mostly the government here, but nurses, medical transcriptionists, anything in the healthcare field is in demand across the country and in all the major hospitals. If you're a nurse right now, I could hire 10 nurses tomorrow. Any nurses available that are listening right now, email me directly tomorrow morning. Okay. So IT, skilled trade, home renovation, skilled trade, those type of roles. And then I see in the next 3 to 6 months, hospitality, retail, customer service picking up when COVID restrictions relax.
Kevin, StopMax is doing wonderful. He's playing a very leading role, placing these graduates and these people in place, and they fulfill both twofold thing. One, they find employment, helping people to get a job, and then the employer to find someone, that they need it. So StopMax is planning to expand it, because you mentioned you have offices in a few of the cities, but do you have any future plan to expand it and cover most of the big cities in Canada?
We would like that. Right now, speaking of technology, we're able to fill roles across the country remotely from anywhere. So 2 years ago, if you would have said to me, how many offices do you see yourself having? I would probably say more than I see it now, because from a central office using technology, I can deal with clients, and I can hire candidates to go to work. So I don't know. Montreal is a market that we would like to get into. And then there's obviously the entire United States is an area that with our strengths and with our team and our technology, we could easily move down into the States and do the same thing, even though it's a little bit different down there with some of the labor laws and Obamacare and the healthcare stuff down there. It's a little bit different putting temporary workers out. But the permanent recruiting side is an area that we can put people to work anywhere across the world, really. Thank you for that question. I hope I got more options.
Yeah. Kevin, you have a lot of experience. Thank you so much. You share wonderful, amazing information. Can you also share like some job search tips for people who may be struggling now? Any?
Try to use their network. This goes back to the beginning of time. It's who you know. You know what I mean? So you want to try to, if you've got connections with a family member, my sister's boyfriend, my aunt, anyone you know, try to connect with people you know. It's just the easiest way to get in. They already know you. If they're going to refer you to their boss, they're on the hook a little bit for you. So they know if you're a good worker or not. I'm not going to refer someone that I know who's going to perform poorly. So if I'm the employer, and my employee says, I know my cousin, my brother's friend, and he's a really good worker, I'm gonna say, okay, he's not gonna bring me someone that's gonna be a poor worker. So expand your network, expand the people you know. Some of the tips I mentioned earlier about treating it like a job. It's just a numbers game. I know if you send out 200 resumes, you're gonna get 30 interviews and you're gonna get 2 offers. It's kind of just a numbers game. I send out 10 resumes and sit back and cross my fingers, I can't, I don't know. But if you send out the more resumes, one thing about a resume, you just want nowadays a nice one-page resume, maybe 2 pages if you've got some good skills. As a recruiter,
sorry, Kevin, for interruption.
Yeah.
One of the questions that I just received was very related to what you were just saying or about to say, is that what are some of the basic resume tips?
Yeah. Okay, so a couple things. One, for your new Canadians, make sure you've got your English name on there. Okay, if you've got a really long name, hard to pronounce, you want to have your English name on there. You want to make sure your resume is short, but it's detailed with specific measurable goals that you've accomplished in your job. So you don't want to put I grew the office. So you want to say I grew the office 10% the first year, 15% the second year. You want to have detailed, specific, measurable accomplishments. You want to try to tailor your resume to the job you're applying for. Okay, so if you're applying for a specific job and that job lists what the requirements are, you might want to change your resume to try to match it with the requirements of the job. Another thing I can share with your viewers is a lot of times the resume is screened by a computer at first. A human doesn't even look at it at first. It comes into the system, the computer looks at it, and it'll move on to the qualified ones. So you want to make sure that they have keywords related to the job they're applying for in the resume. That's a really important tip. So you want your resume to be 1 or 2 pages, have it specific, measurable accomplishments in your list of experience, and then tailor your resume to the job you're applying for and include any keywords that the job description has in it, so that when the computer, the ATS it's called, the applicant tracking system, which is what most companies use to initially screen resumes, picks your resume and moves it to the next stage.
Thank you. Another related question, Kevin, is that what are some of the interview tips? And getting more technical is that when you're hiring, let's say, a technical position, they ask you 2 types of question. One is behavioral question, and the other is kind of
The technical
question. When answering those questions, would you use one of the method? There are quite a few methods, but the 2 common one is the STAR and the CARL. So STAR is a situation, task, action, and result, and the CARL is the other one. Yes. Would you answer all the question using the STAR or the CARL, or you will answer the technical question as a technical question and the behavioral question using one of those methods?
That's difficult for me to answer that question because it depends on the type of job and the interviewer. I will say during interviews, especially if the first interview is going to be online, you don't have the eye contact, the body language. You can't read the person like you can in one. When you're doing an interview, you should actually be asking a lot of questions and having the interviewer doing most of the speaking. You know, you want to answer what they want, but you don't want to ramble on and do all the talking. You really want to have the interviewer asking the questions. You answer them, and then you ask them questions back. I'm going to share the best 3 interview questions. If you're being interviewed for a job, and I'll say these slowly so that everyone can get them. These are the 3 best interview questions. You say to the interviewer, the person who was in this role prior to me, someone who was in this role before that was successful, why were they successful in this role? They ask them, and the interviewer would tell you, oh, they were this and they were that. And then you say, tell me about someone who was not successful in this role. Why weren't they successful? And the interviewer will share why they're not. And then the 3rd question, my favorite interview question is, if I was lucky enough to get this job, what would my first week, my first month, my first 3 months look like? And what that does, it's painting a picture in the interviewer's head that you're already working for me. So you want to ask someone in this role before that was successful, what was it about them that made them successful? Secondly, someone that was not successful, why weren't they successful? And they'll tell you some of the things that made them not successful. And then lastly, if I was fortunate enough to get this job, what would my first week, my first month, my first 90 days look like? And the interviewer will, in their head, start seeing you working for them. Say, well, the first week you will train and shadow with this one, and then the first month you'll move to this stage, and so on. So those are 3 questions that I really encourage people to use in an interview. And listen lots, and try to have the interview do the talking. Don't be over talking. Don't be too strong, too forceful. You want to make a connection. When you open up an interview, you want to ask the interviewer about them too. How long have you been here? Tell me about the company here. Why is this such a great place to work? People love to talk about themselves. We all do. Everyone's favorite subject is themselves. Ask the interviewer, tell me about your job. How did you get this job? What's it like working here? And they will go on, and then you're building a relationship. You're making a friend, and it becomes more of a conversation than an interview that's black and white. So hopefully that helps some people.
Some
Kevin,
great tips.
related
Thank you.
to, yes, okay, Imtiaz.
Go ahead.
Okay, Kevin, like related to the interview, because the whole dynamic COVID has changes.
Yeah.
Before it was a physical appearance, you go 15 minutes early, 20 minutes early, you know, show a smile on the face and greet everybody, shake hand with everyone, you know, like all those things were there. But now everything is totally different. Zoom interview.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips for Zoom? Because every interview is now on Zoom, like we are live. So what will be your say on it to the people who going on Zoom interview?
Yeah, a couple of things with Zoom is you want to, because you don't have the same dynamic as an in-person interview. You want to make sure that you know how to use Zoom, that your computer or your phone is working and you're not going to have technical difficulties. Secondly, you want to practice doing it with a friend or family member so that you are comfortable doing it. You want to make sure that your background is appropriate. You want to make sure that your dress is appropriate. You want to make sure that you don't have distractions with the doorbell going off or kids running around. And you want to come prepared with some questions so that there's no awkward silence in between where you're just sort of freezing on the interview with nothing to say. So you want to dress professionally, have your background professionally, be comfortable with there's Zoom, there's Teams, there's Cisco WebEx. So you could be on a number of different platforms. So you want to practice on each one or make sure you've got the latest version downloaded to your computer or your device so that there's not going to be technical issues with it. And then you want to practice it with someone.
Thank you, Kevin. So we are short of time. Norma, do you have any question from Kevin or from Professor Imtiaz? You can ask one of them.
There is one quick question that was sent through the chat here. It says, my question is to Mr. Kevin Gill, how do you see sales job prospects after COVID restriction, particularly technical sales?
Yeah. You know, I'm in sales. I still do sales every day. I'm on this call to spread the name of Staff Max. So everything you do is sales, and I can really speak to that question. It's hard to prospect. You can't. There's no more cold calling. You can't build a relationship taking someone for lunch or meeting in their office or bringing donuts. It's really changed. What we've found is people are a little bit more receptive to email blasts. So you want to use emails to let them know you're out there. You want to make sure that you're using your social media presence. You want to use video in emails nowadays. And you have the old school selling. This is a great question about sales, which interests me a lot. Is you got to pick up the phone and follow up. So you want to follow up with emails, follow up with a video email, use social media to become an expert in your field out there, and just follow up with the client. So technically, that's a great question. Sales has changed. You want to make sure that you don't lose your existing customers. So you want to stay in touch with your existing customers, your existing business, to get new business, become known as an expert by using social media and sending out e-blasts, picking up the phone, calling them. You can set up meetings now through email. You can do your sales pitch. If you want to talk to me, you click the link and the client can book 5 minutes or 10 minutes of your time. So you just want to be using more technology, picking up the phone, old school sales, picking up the phone, and become a recognized expert in your field by using social media, and hopefully the prospects will see that.
Thank you.
Norm, yes, Imtiaz Sahib, do you have any other more question?
I don't have any other question, no.
Okay, Norma, do you have any question from Kevin?
I first of all, I need to thank everyone for taking out your time to answer all of our questions. I didn't have a question, but I had a comment on the sales note. Since I work as a receptionist at 2 car dealerships, so salespeople are all around me,
Yeah.
like 6 days a week. So I would say that the most successful people that I've seen are the ones who go above and beyond in following up. And I think that's when you apply for a job, it's basically all a sales and marketing technique as well. You're marketing yourself and you're basically selling your resume and your skill set to an employer. So I think this is the mark of the most important professional. So because everything at the end of the day is a sales pitch.
That's
Thank
very
you,
good.
Norma.
Maybe Norma should go into sales and not engineering.
Okay, before we go, I go to Kevin, and Kevin, you will give the last message to those who are looking a job, young graduate,
Yeah.
those who may be graduating maybe in a couple of months,
Yeah.
community in general, because it's a COVID, you can also give to community Canadians in general a message during COVID, how can they keep themselves safe. But before I go there, Professor Imtiaz Saab, do you want to give anything to say to the Canadian, the youth, they're looking the job, the COVID, any message that you want to tell the Canadians?
Well, thank you, Dr. Manan. I think Kevin summarized it very well. I think the attitude is very important. I will be just doing it in bullet points. Attitude, number one. Number two, don't give up. You don't get job just by applying for one resume. It's like you're gambling. So you don't know if you're going to win tomorrow or a week after or a month after. So you keep on applying. That's number two. Number three, based on my experience, a lot of people, they have just one resume and they keep on sending it to all those employers. No, take the time, read the job description and requirement, change or mold your resume as per the requirement of that job. Let it read it, not on the screen. Print it out and read it. Then make the changes. And then if you have a friend or family member, let them read it for you, because sometimes it's very hard to catch your mistakes, and then send it. Number four, very important, that whatever job you're looking for, you have to be in the company of those people. So when I say company, that means you go and join those volunteer organizations. For example, Norma, EIT, or EIT, Engineer in Training. You're living in Mississauga, go join Professional Engineer of Ontario, local chapter. They meet once a month. Go in and talk to them. That's very important. Join any organization or professional institution, for example, American Society of Civil Engineers, Canadian Society of Civil Engineers. Attends online webinars and put them on your resume. It's very important. Online groups, LinkedIn, all that stuff. So the list goes on and on, but that's what I meant to say, that you have to be active. Number five, this is specifically for fresh graduate, international graduate. And this is my experience, that there are so many international, brilliant, intelligent students. Based on their culture, they just cannot see themselves in an interview, because it's either the culture, the way they were brought up, or some sort of problems. Interview is not an exam.
Yes.
It's not an exam. It is something that you tell people who you are, and if you're comfortable working there, and how can you achieve goals if you're given targets and all that stuff. So it's a day-to-day type, but in a different setup. But you have to cross that barrier, telling that person that who you are. It's like they call it selling yourself or stuff. So it's not something new that you will be doing. They're not going to send you to space. They're not going to ask you to work on a rocket science. No, it will be something that you have done already in the school or in the past, maybe in a different setup. So remove that fear. The last thing is that if there is a cover letter requirement, please don't write stories in your cover letter. I keep on saying this. Cover letter is your face and resume is your body. So when the face goes on the body, it should look like who you are. If they don't match, good luck. So the last thing I would add is that there are so many points, but with just keeping in time, the last thing is that don't give up. This was the statistics from the early 2000 that if you apply for 25 jobs, you will get one call. This was 10, 15 years ago. Now it may be 30 or 40 or 50. So don't give up. Thank you, Dr. Manan.
Okay, Kevin, so I wanted you to give two messages. One, because Kuwait, you want to give a message to Canadian for the better hope for tomorrow, that a better day is coming.
They're coming.
Vaccine is there. So I wanted you to give two messages, one to Canadian because of Kuwait, what you hoping for the best to come for tomorrow, and another you want to give a message to fresh graduate people because you are the bridging, you are playing a bridging role. Employer is looking for talents and you provide them those talents. So you are playing a very important role, bridge them, and you meeting the needs of both. Because I'm looking a job, and the employer is looking for me, and you are the person there, hook them, like
That's right.
you to match them. So the bridge graduate first you gave to the Canadian a hope, where what will be the tomorrow, the something that you want to tell the Canadian, and also to the youth. And once you are talking to these things, the program will end at the end, and we will say goodbye to you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin, for your time. Thank you, Professor Imtiaz Saab, for your valuable time. I know it's a family day time, and thank you, Norma, that you come live and you represent the entire newcomers and fresh graduate and everyone, including us, because we all are in the same boat. So thank you to you too. So Kevin, now
I would like to say thank you if I didn't get a chance to say bye to Kevin, but definitely I'll reach out to you.
Yes, please do. And first and foremost, I just wanted to thank you guys for the opportunity to speak to your group. As someone who hires thousands of people a year, the group that I'm speaking to today are some of the hardest workers that we come across, that I hire, that I put to work, that I have so much respect for. And I share that in my personal life with everyone I know. So I just wanted to say how much I respect the group that I'm speaking with today. So thank you and thank everyone.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Kevin, the message now.
The better days are ahead. The vaccine is coming out. Restrictions are going to slowly open up. People are getting back to work. So now is the time to get on it, to get your resume updated, and to start looking for a job because better days are ahead. Technology is not going anywhere. Everyone, no matter what type of job that they're going to, are going to have to know the bare bones of technology. So make sure that you hone up on your computer skills and make sure that you're preparing for when there are more jobs open right now and people are applying. But start now so that you get a head start on the people that are just going to wait till their unemployment runs out and then start applying. Hone up on your technology skills and get out there today to start looking for a job and follow up on those job interviews and those resumes.